Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be the art of a successful seduction. Well, I've got 3 different emails that I'm going to go through here with you today. Before we get into it, though, I got a quote that I wrote I'd like to share with you. And it says, "Successfully seducing women who have mutual sexual attraction is an art. It is the natural result of attraction, great conversation, chemistry, and touching that leads to the intimate sexual experience. A great seducer is focused on having fun, laughing, great conversation, sharing, communicating, touching, and being attentive to his lover's needs, desires, and wants, and most importantly, reading the signs when they are there and taking the appropriate physical action." I obviously go into detail in this in my book for those of you that are watching this going, well, how do I do it? It's all in there. And so when I'm going through these videos and the articles that I post on my website, I'm presupposing that you've already read my book and you understand the basics of what I teach. So what I'm doing when I go through these emails is critiquing guys on what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, when they're not focusing on their purpose, their mission in life, or what they should be focusing on, when they should be making the move, when they're fucking up. And that way everybody that's watching these videos can pick up on that and learn from these experiences and how it benefits them. It's almost as if you had that experience yourself, because these are real world situations with guys just like you who are at different levels of success and competence at applying the things that I teach in my book. So let's get into the first guy's email. He says, "Hey coach, here's my situation. I had a good second date with a beautiful girl I met recently, and I did most things right. I took this girl to a nice lounge after meeting her out at Starbucks. It was dark and very private, intimate place." Well, as I say, it's like if you don't have enough comfort with the girl, maybe you just met her out for one drink. But the nice thing is, like when you go to 2 or 3 different places in an evening, it can obviously escalate to you and her having sex at your place later. And the idea is to create, if you're going to meet her out someplace, meet her someplace as close to where you live. That way, it's real simple. When you pay the tab, you say, "Hey, let's get out here and go back to my place and have a glass," or you say, "Would you like to come up to my place and have a glass of champagne," which is what I usually like to do because I'm always someplace close to where I go. And one of 2 things will happen. She'll either say yes, or she'll say, "No, I've got to go," or she'll say, "I'm not ready to yet." And if she says she's not ready to yet, then say, "Great, let's go. There's a really cool place we can go play some pool and throw some darts down the street." And then an hour or so later, when you're kissing and you're all over each other, then you can say, "Hey, let's get out and go back to my place and have a glass of champagne." And then she'll say, "Sure." It's just like in sales. It's all about her level of safety and comfort. When she's ready, when she's comfortable, because obviously if you invite her up to your place, obviously she has a pretty good idea of what probably is going to happen later. But if she's not comfortable, she can speak up then and say, "No, let's just hang out here," or "Let's have another drink," or something like that. It's kind of like the trial close to see if she's ready to take it to the next step. And if she's not, it's just like I talk about in my book, 2 steps forward, and then you encounter resistance, you take 1 step back. And then a while later, you take another run at it. And then obviously, it's all about breaking down her barriers and making her feel safe and comfortable. Again, I go into detail, extensive detail on this in my book. So he says, "I didn't hesitate to make a move when the signs were there. We kissed passionately many times, and I touched her everywhere, including her nipples, hair, face, belly, ass, arms, and pants. Nice job. She giggled and laughed, tested me along the way, but I kept my cool, was playful, and I did 2 steps forward, 1 step back, as you teach in your book." Huh, what'd I just say? "I was ready to fuck her right there, but I didn't. Grow a set of balls next time and be relentless, I know." That's why you always got to think about it from the end. Think about where you're going to end up later on in the evening. It's important to plan that stuff logistically out ahead of time. ABP, always be prepared. He says, "I didn't invite her to my place either." Come on, man. "Since I was not sure if she would agree." Well, just like I was saying a minute ago, hey, that's why you should always have a bottle of champagne in your fridge. And yes, there is a bottle of champagne in my fridge. And there's also 2 glass champagne flutes in my freezer. It's always there. It's always ready, because you never know. Because if she says no, or she's not ready, or let's have another drink, then have another place that you can go to after that where you can keep the fun going on, because it's just a matter of her getting the place where she feels safe and comfortable. Because again, most women sleep with a guy on by the second or by the end of the third date. So you keep that in mind, and it's like a test. It's like in sales we call it a trial close. And so that's when when you're all over each other, you could have said, hey, why don't we get out of here and go back to my place and have a glass of champagne? And then you shut up. What's she going to say? That sounds great. Or she's going to say, no, this is kind of cool where we're at. And they say, great, let's get another drink. And then maybe a half hour later, maybe an hour later, then you ask her again. It's all, again, it's about testing the waters, breaking down her resistance to the point where she feels comfortable enough and she feels safe enough with you to where she's ready to do that. He says, I thought it could be too much too soon for her and I would get rejected unnecessarily. Well, that's still the nice guy thinking, oh, I'm going to be respectful. But at the end of the day, you're fucking kissing her boobs in the lounge that you're at. It's like, come on, dude. He says, I even unhooked her bra and sucked her gorgeous nipples, and other people could probably see some of it. So you were motorboating her in there, and it's like, come on, man. She was waiting for you to, that's why you got to be the leader. Sex has to be your fault. Because if you invite her back to your place, and then you undo her bra and take off almost all of her clothes, and then you place yourself inside of her when you're both naked because you took your pants off, it's all your fault. She doesn't have any responsibility for that. It just happened. That's what she can tell her girlfriends. It was amazing. He knew exactly what to do. That's what a woman wants. She wants you to be the leader. You don't want the penis after all, hopefully. She told me that she was a virgin. A virgin would love to have a great first-time experience. There's an article on the homepage of my website called Deflowering Your Virgin Girlfriend, and it's a guy who followed exactly what I teach in my book, and his girlfriend that he was dating, he made her first experience after getting rejected a couple of times wonderful. And she said, thank you for making my first time such a wonderful experience. He had candles, he did the whole 9 yards. You should definitely read that article because the guy did it fucking textbook. And she'll remember that experience for the rest of her life. And it'll be a great experience. It's a fantastic memory for her. Whether or not they stay together, it doesn't matter. She's always going to remember that and him for the rest of her life because he went out of her way to make it awesome for her. He says, after we left that place, we had a walk around dark, beautiful city, talked about everything for an hour, with her doing most of the talking, and I let her go when we were near a subway station so she could get home quickly from there. I went for a goodbye kiss in the lips, and it was good. I'm pretty sure I will get another date with her, and I will want to escalate things further. Since she's still a virgin and we live an hour and a half away from each other, it's highly unlikely she would agree to just come to my place to cook dinner with a bottle of wine. That's why you escalate it. You don't go and invite her right over. That's why you meet her out at a place, and when you're all over each other, that's when you say, hey, you invite her over to cook dinner together and have a bottle of wine after she's been to your place, she's comfortable, and you've hooked up there. This way, you meet her out at a place and things escalate. Then you can say that's why you should always have a bottle of champagne ready to rock at a moment's notice. I always like to have Moet champagne. Moet? Yeah, M-O-E-T. It's like $20 a bottle. They have it pretty much everywhere. Get the regular one. Don't get the extra dry one. I like girls. And plus, you should always have like a pint of orange juice, especially if you're going to know you're going to have a date. The champagne you can keep in there forever, but obviously the orange juice is only going to last for a couple of weeks. And a mimosa is 1/4 part orange juice and 3/4 parts champagne. Girls love mimosas. So he says, that's why I'm writing to you to ask your advice on how to take her to my place after I met her out somewhere. It will be our third date, and after our okay first date and a good second date that I described to you above. I have a bunch of questions regarding the very moment when I take a girl from a cafe to my place to have sex for the first time. What should I do and say, and how should I show up? Just like I said, when things are going good and you're all over each other, you just say, hey, why don't we get out of here and go back to my place and have a glass of champagne together? I've got a chilled bottle in my refrigerator. Would you care to join me? Simple as that. Hey, would you like to go back to my place and have a glass of champagne with me? That's all I say. And then it gives her the opportunity to say yes or no. And if she says no, then just keep hanging out where you're at or go to another place that's close by. Have another drink together, and then maybe an hour later, when you're all over each other and it's getting a little more touchy-feely, hey, why don't we get out and go back to my place? When she's ready, she'll say yes. Don't be afraid. It doesn't, just because she says no, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It just means it's a delay. But if you think from the end, of course we're going to be having sex later at my place and having delicious champagne and maybe licking it off each other later. Hello? He says, should I repeat the makeout session and her kissing and then invite her? Yes. It's like you got to think about it. It's like you got her all wound up. She's been thinking about it. And so the next time, have a set of balls and actually ask her, invite her to your place, just like I mentioned. Or can I just say, we're having a party at my place tonight without heavy kissing as we did in our second date. It's pretty hard to find another place where it's comfortable to repeat what we had on our second date. Figure it out, dude. Figure it out. You got to start. You got to go to step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. You don't assume that on your third date that you're just going to show up and she's going to be in the same mode, in the same vibe that you were when you left her. It's like you got to start all over. You got to live in the moment. The past doesn't matter. You don't get any points for the past. He says, should it be better to be 20 minutes into the date or 2 hours into the date when I invite her? If I wait too long, will it come off as unsure? Well, it's like, sounds like you could have taken her back to your place and made love to her, but you just were too afraid if she said no. But like I said, her saying no is not no, like permanently no. It just means it's a delay. It means she's not ready in that present moment. Keep hanging out, having fun, and hooking up. So what your mindset, the way you need to think should be just like you were at the beginning of the second date. Same kind of environment, and you're going to have to do some research. Pull up Google Maps on your iPhone and do some research. Take some time. And then after you hook up successfully, then for your fourth date, after you've had sex on the third date at your house and she feels comfortable being there, maybe she stays the night, then next time you invite her over, you can say, hey, why don't we get together and make dinner together tonight? Why don't you grab a bottle of wine, come on over, and we'll make dinner together. When are you free to get together? And by that point, she's already slept over at your house. You've already made love for the first time. She'll be like, oh, that sounds great. You can even watch a movie together, hang out. It's better just to have fun in the kitchen together and fool around, and things naturally lead to a successful conclusion in the bedroom. Maybe you have sex before dinner, then you have dinner, and then you have sex after dinner, because obviously if you're good and you know what you're doing, she's going to be going, this is really great, I like this. So that's what I would do if I were you. And he asked, like, what would you do if she says no or not now? And I've already handled those things here. So I'm going to move on to the next guy's email. He says, hey, Corey, I'm the guy with the malicious teasing problem at work, which has not been resolved yet because I've not been in the office in a while. I noticed that I keep having issues with really attractive women, ranging from a 7 to a 10 as on a scale of hotness. And they're doing fucked up mean shit to me while at the same time seeming to be really attracted to me. And I met another one a while ago. Well, the reason you're getting this behavior is you're still acting too nice, and the reason that they're doing this is because you're allowing them to. No one will ever do or say anything to you that you don't invite them to do. When you act weak, this is what happened. Women test you. He says, I took this as extremely attractive woman. Even other women are constantly asking if she is a model, and that's how good looking she is, that I met a few weeks earlier to play pool, have drinks, and talk at a sports bar after we ate, since she likes playing pool. We're talking, have a good time, when another dude walks up and starts asking us questions about the game, and before I know it, he and her are conversing, and he's making her laugh the same way I did. So it sounds like this guy might be some kind of pickup artist. Some dudes are just dicks like that. And they look at you and they look at her and they go, oh, I'm fucking better than that guy. I'm going to go see if I can rip this girl off. I've had that happen over the course of my, with girlfriends. I go out, I just hang back and I let them talk, and then she usually comes over and or tells me exactly what's going on. Or I just grab her hand and I say, hey, it's nice meeting you, dude. I'll see you later. And we fucking leave. He says, before I know it, he and her are in a conversation, and he's making her laugh the same way I was, and started to leave the area of talking about pool to asking her personal questions, which I then stepped in and told him that I would have just said, hey, dude, it's really nice meeting you, but my date and I, we're going to go sit down over here and talk and have a great night. You just grab her hand and lead her over there. That's what you should do in that situation. Because this guy's definitely a cock blocker, and he might be, who knows, he might be a pickup artist, because some guys are like that. They like the challenge of trying to rip a girl off. Plus, if he looks at you and her and he sees weak physiology, he's going to feel like he's got it in. He says he refused to leave, so I had one of the waitresses get me someone who could get him to move, and when that person came over to see what the problem was, my date said that she didn't have a problem with him being there, encouraging him, and kept talking to him. So this tells me you were definitely being a little timid and a little shy, and she's busting your balls. She's testing you, because this guy obviously had a lot of balls, the fact that you're on a date with this girl, and he comes right over, and you allow him to get in between the two. He says, so what I did was to put two 20s in her hand and told her to call a fucking cab or catch a ride with that dude home. As I turned to leave, the guy was partly blocking the aisle. He's as big as I was, so I guess he thought I was going to do the man shoulder bump thing. And instead, I lost my temper and shoved him right under his chin and back, from which he fell. And I wanted him to make him bite off part of his tongue. It's like, oh, that's nice job, dude. You should never let anything diminish you. I mean, obviously it's not, you weren't prepared to handle this kind of a situation, but obviously that's not, you don't want to go get into a fight when you're out on a date. He says, on my way out with the management holding him back and threatening to call the cops if I didn't leave the premises. It sounds like you're leaving a little bit of the story out here. I get out to my ride, and here she comes behind me calling me names and wanting to know what my problem was. I told her that she fucking undermined, humiliated, and embarrassed me, while at the same time encouraging the other guy, and I wasn't going to put up with it. And I thought she did it on purpose because she doesn't seem naive and stupid to me, and I believe she knew what she was doing and purposely made me look and feel like shit to amuse herself. Well, she obviously sensed weakness in you and was just seeing how you'd react to it. Obviously you didn't react too well. I asked her what was unreasonable about me wanting to get rid of him, and I got no answer. Of course not, because you totally busted her on it. So I told her to get her ass back inside and go be with him or whoever, and I took off and left her there. I had a situation probably going about 15 years ago. I was on a date, and I was still Mr. Nice Guy back then. This girl was really fucking hot. So I come back from the bathroom after we'd had this nice sushi dinner at this really cool place, and we'd go walk next door to this little sports bar, and we were having a drink. So I come back from the bathroom, and she's talking to this other guy, and I walk back to the bar, and she's like to my right, and then there's the corner of the bar, and then he's there. And I stand there for like a good 3 or 4 minutes at least, as she's just talking and acting like I'm not even there. And had I known then what I know now, I would have just paid the tab and I would have fucking left. And I would have never called her again. I was like, hey, you guys have a great night, and I would have walked out of there and left. And because when I walked back, I saw her sliding her number over to him. And I was like, that was fucking rude. But I was Mr. Nice Guy. Like a week later, I ended up sending her flowers. It was just, I didn't get anywhere with her, by the way. It was just bad. It was, that dude probably ended up hooking up with her because he probably looked at me and sized us up just like this guy did to you, and he knew. He said, this next is part of the most confounding things that's ever happened to me. Before I could get a mile down the road, she's calling, texting, voicemailing me, saying she wanted to talk to me because I won't answer the phone. For about a week, she was still trying to contact me, sending me poetry and pictures of her. Yeah, because at the end of the day, you shouldn't have done what you did with that guy, but it is what it is. But you basically said, this is fucking bullshit. You're being fucking rude, and you're being disrespectful, and I'm fucking out of here. And that's what you did, and you left her ass there. He says, I eventually weakened and responded, staying away from what happened that night. So what happens next is, we live in the same area, and so she knows where I live, and she shows up at my door on Friday night, dressed casual, light-colored jeans, and a button-down white shirt. I let her in, and all she wants to talk about is that night and what I did and why I wasn't called for and why she kept trying to get close to me while we were standing and talking. It's amazing. The strongest negotiating position is being able to walk away and mean it. And at least you were a man about the fact that you just left her ass there and you just said, because it was bullshit the way she treated you. But obviously, like I said, I already explained what I would have done differently with that dude there. He says, she was making eye contact, brushing up against me, rubbing my arms, etc. It's like, see, you were a man, and she wanted to receive your strength because she obviously misjudged you, and you stood up to her and blew her off. He says, eventually I gave in to my lust for her and had sex with her. Good fucking job, dude. You redeemed yourself. One of the most passionate experiences I've ever had in my life. Yeah, because she's totally turned on by your fucking strength and the fact that you blew her off, which is something probably, most nice guys would have done what I did 15 years ago and would have got nowhere, but instead you're like, fuck you, see you later, I'm out of here. I don't want anything to do with you. And of course she has to run after it. She can't help it. He says, I get up the next morning and she made breakfast and had my dirty clothes in the washing machine. Look at that. It's amazing what an effect that has on women, just walking away when you don't want to put up with their bullshit. He says, while eating and thanking her for what she had done, I made the mistake of telling her how surprised I was and didn't think that she knew how to cook, clean, and take care of a home. Not a good thing. She hit the roof and let me know that I had insulted her and hurt her by stereotyping her because of her looks, and she lit into me and let me know that she felt I had a problem with really good-looking women anyway. Which, obviously, see, that's the beauty of fucking strong, confident women. They can see right through you. And she's right. You obviously do have a problem with good-looking women. You let them uncenter you, and that's why she was pulling that bullshit when you were on your date, but you redeemed yourself when you totally walked away and you left her there. At first, she thought I was gay. But after watching me for a while, she changed her mind and had somehow come to the conclusion I was just one of those guys who just had a nasty attitude when it came to really good-looking women because I would always seem to be really nice to the ones that she didn't think were as pretty, but yet cold towards her and others like her friends. I wouldn't even say much more than hello to her then, as if I had better things to do, like they were beneath me. She let me know she hated me for this until she started watching me more closely and made it a point to get to know me and find out why I acted like I despised really attractive women. She says she still doesn't know what my deal is, but after spending time with me before the bar incident, she really likes me a lot. She came over and fucked you, hello. Especially how we were able to sit quietly with each other doing whatever without saying anything and still have an amazing time because there is no such thing as an uncomfortable silence with me. Because somehow I always seem to know the right time to shut the fuck up, enjoy the moment, and just be. But if we are to be together, I'm going to have to cut that shit out or we will stop before we even know what we can be together. Then she comes over and puts her arms around me and holds me and her head in my chest. I didn't know what to say to that. You should have kissed her and fucked her again right on the spot, dude. That's what you should have done. So I told her I would really do some heavy thinking on what she said. Come on, man. Hang out, have fun, hook up. In other words, she's giving you compliments about the fact that you stood up to her. Even though there's things she said she didn't like about you, she still came over to your place and fucked you. And you had another opportunity to have good morning sex. The last thing is, I'm in a lot of pain because of the mistake I've made. Dude, don't beat yourself up over it. You got fucking laid. Hello, McFly. Come on, man. We spent that entire day together shopping, hanging out, and had planned to see a movie later that night, but never did because we wound up spending so much time in a bookstore, which is where I got into trouble when she started questioning why I was avoiding eye contact with her. Which we worked out, but afterwards I did make a joke about how I did so because of how incredibly sexy and beautiful she was. Now you act like you're weak and you don't deserve her again. It would be hard for a lot of men to not fall for her by eye contact. Oh, come on, dude. Her smile alone was like trying to look at the sun. She thought that was funny. Anyways, we were standing in line. She's in front of me, leaning her body back into mine, and had taken my hand and put it around her tummy to rub it. So I'm doing it for a while. She suddenly turns around, looks me in the eyes without smiling until I ask what's wrong. She tells me the problem is I've already fallen for you. I'm stunned. I'm not. Staring back in her eyes, I didn't know what to say to that. You should just fucking kissed her. And before I knew it, even though she knows I'm uncomfortable with public displays of affection, she put her arms around me like she was holding on to me for dear life, kissed me really hard and long, and the people standing behind us had moved in front of us. I lost control, relaxed, and let go and fell hard, head over heels for her right then and there. Whoa, easy, cowboy. Hang out, have fun, hook up. She sends and brings me gifts all the time, and she's always cooking for me when she comes over when I'm at her place. Other devious men don't walk up and talk to her much anymore when she is with me, and she either looks away, gives them really hateful, dirty looks, because she realized that you've got a fucking spine, bro. But you got to clean up your game, dude. You got some rough edges here you got to work on. You need to read my book. Hang out, have fun, hook up, and stop worrying about all this other bullshit that doesn't matter. When they stare, she starts clinging to my arm with both hands. That's good because now when other guys stare at her, instead of letting them come in, she is showing that she's with you because she's chosen you. I mean, you've hooked up after all. She's also quick to let them straight and send them packing if they manage to get through all and try to approach her with game anyways. I'm now in pain because it's so hard not calling and seeing her every day as to not bring her interest level down, even though she mentions or hints at moving in together all the time. You gotta wait till she's head over heels in love with you and date for I would say at least a year or two before you let her move in. Things are moving way too fast, I think, and I don't want to screw it up. That's why you should always let her do most of the pursuing. She's obviously doing it. Let her come to you. Let women come to you. So, I mean, other than that, you're doing pretty good, dude. I mean, hang out, have fun, and hook up. When she reaches out to you, make the next date to get together, hang out, have fun, and hook up. Always create a fun-filled romantic opportunity for sex to happen. Rinse, recycle, repeat. It's that fucking simple. Don't complicate shit. So let's get into the third and final email. This guy says, "Hey Corey, your work is awesome. I appreciate your insights. Here's a puzzle for you. I've known this girl at work for several years but never got anywhere except friend zone. She's been hurt by men before. Everybody's been hurt in relationships, dude. Inattentive dad, unfaithful husband, final lover was living a double life, and she hasn't dated anyone for 6 years. I always thought that there was a spark, but I only managed to kindle it when I began online dating a succession of other women and told her about it. Yeah, because what happened was she judged you to be weak and have no other options. Then when she finds out that you're sleeping with half the town, then she's like, maybe I misjudged you. Just like the previous email. The girl thought the dude was weak. He had a spine even though he was a fucking train wreck up until the point where he walked away, and then she came running after him. I finally got her to lunch in the summer holidays, and after the recess, you're going to lunch? And we had a picnic, and she texted me after saying how attractive I was and that I obviously look after myself. Hey, when are you free to get together next? That should have been your response. It was the first real compliment she's ever paid me. I continue to date other women who I never fancied really as much as her, and I was able to communicate abundance, and I've read your brilliant book, dude. Good. 10 to 15 times, bro. Till you get to the point where you don't have to think about it anymore. He says, this seemed to work, and 2 weeks ago we went out on a Saturday night together, and we had a great time, and although she hasn't been kissed by anyone for 6 years, I do believe her, by following your guidance and not taking things personally and having fun, we managed to have our tongues down each other's throats. Nice. Heavy petting ensued. Good so far. So far, so good. And although Flesh Rocket was ready to launch, she wasn't actually going for the chat. Although her tits were fair game, there was one other area that she did not want me to explore. Sometimes a guy has to know when to stop, and I reached that point. Just 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back until you slowly break down her resistance. Mistake number 1. I texted her the next day, which was a Sunday, and said, what a wonderful night it was. Yeah, because now you're all goo-goo gaga. You're thinking, I'm getting somewhere. It's like you can't handle it, man. It's like you're coming unglued. That's the text that you want to get from her. 1 date per week, just like I talk about in my book. See? It tells me that you've only read my book probably 1 time. She texted back to say that she had a great time and that I was surprised that I gave so much of myself to you. And she said, well, I'm not. You were doing pretty good. She said she would call me early next week. I followed your advice and did nothing. She did call me on Wednesday. I was driving, kept things light and breezy, but I didn't propose another date. Come on, man. Seriously? He says, make mistake number 2, I suppose. Yep. Last Saturday, I texted her and said, how about next week? Tell me when you're free. We arranged a date for the following Wednesday, but on Wednesday lunchtime, she texted me to say that there was a problem. Her cat needed to go to the vet. Speak later. She also emailed me a picture of the cat in some sort of collar. I think it was an old picture and it was bullshit. Well, when she says something like you say, great, sorry to hear about your cat being sick, but when do you want to reschedule for? Presuppose that she wants to reschedule. She phoned me about 6 p.m. and canceled for sure. I did ask when could we reschedule, but she said she'd call me tomorrow on Thursday. So I came off the phone, I remembered what you advised, and actually turned my phone off for the afternoon as I was in meetings. So I can't tell if she actually did phone because they didn't get put through at all when I switched it off, but there were no missed calls. She didn't call on Friday either. I've followed your advice and not made any contact at all. This evening, Saturday, 2 weeks later, after the supposedly great date, I got the following email. It said, see, you had to wait. Hi, how are you? And it said, my initial take on this is that I've been relegated to email. So that's all she sent was, hi, how are you? Through email. I would have said, I'm doing great. I'd love to see you. When are you free to get together? See, she told you she was going to call you the next day, but she never did. And she canceled a date on you. And then when you just walk and you never look back, and then she turns around and reaches out, that's a good sign. It means that she's going, maybe I was wrong about this dude. My initial take on this was that I've been relegated to email, not even a text, but the difficulty is that she's now setting the agenda whatever I do. If I don't reply at all, it could show that I'm butthurt and I don't want to appear like that. And if I do reply, I'm settling for her terms. What do I do, Corey? Just like I said, hey, great to hear from you. I'd love to see you. When are you free to get together next? Remember, when a woman contacts you, what do you presuppose? Oh, she must want to see me. Let me make that happen in as few steps as possible. Then make a date, hang out, have fun, and hook up. He says, I've done nothing so far. Do I reply via email? Absolutely. Send her an email and ask her when she's free to get together. Then make definite plans. That's what I would do. It's really simple, dude. Don't overcomplicate things. So if you have a problem or a challenge or a situation you'd like to get my help with, go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a paid phone session. And I will talk to you soon.